Yo guys, it's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video. We are back here at the Encore Casino in the lovely parking garage. And yeah, we're gonna mix in a session today. It's a Tuesday night, see what happens. I thought about playing the tournament. They always have the $140 tournament, 5K guarantee that usually ends up being about a 10K prize pool. But I don't know. As much as I like to play tournaments, I'm just not in the mood for it, and I kind of want to just grind some cash and try to run things up because we haven't had like a huge cash session in a while. So, without further ado, we're gonna get some hands. Recording and intro stops now. Into the 2-5 game we go here with King 4 on the button. It's a 4-way limped pot. We're forced to play this hand. King 4 offsuit. Let's go for it. We go to a flop 4 ways, and flop comes King 9-9, 2 clubs out there. Action checks to a middle position player, and I'm sitting with top pair. Middle position player bets $20. The button makes the call, and here with top pair, I'm not going to fold just yet. I have no kicker, which is kind of unfortunate. There's a ton of draws out there. Maybe someone's betting with a gutter ball, someone's betting with a club draw, but here with top pair, not going to fold for $20 just yet. I make the call. We go to a turn, which is the 3 of spades. I check, and the middle position player once again fires for $75. The button folds, and when the button folds here with top pair, I'm going to have to call a decent percentage of the time. Get to a river, see what happens. So we make the call for $75. Definitely can mix in folding here a lot of the time, but here in this specific instance, I just go ahead and call the 75, and we're off to a river. The river comes the 5 of clubs, so the club draw gets there. Not really feeling great about our hand with no kicker, just one pair. I check, and he checks it back, showing Queen 9 of diamonds. So he had the 9, did not have to pay off the $75, and probably could have folded on the flop too, but we lose an extra $100 that we probably didn't need to. Hand after that, we have ace king offsuit in the cutoff. I raise to $35 over 2 early position limpers. We get a cold call from the big blind, and an early position makes the call. This big blind player seems to be pretty active, so we're going to see what happens. Flop comes jack, deuce, deuce, rainbow. Action checks to me on such a dry, static board. I'm going to down bet and probably just take it down a lot of the time. Maybe get a loose or maybe get a light call from smaller pocket pairs, but I bet $40. The big blind, who's been very active, makes the call, and the other limper folds. So we're going heads up to a turn, which comes the queen of hearts, brings in a backdoor flush draw. We don't have any hearts in our hand, and he moves his hands to his chips and checks. It looked like he wanted to bet and then check, so from that tell, it definitely seemed like a sign of weakness, wanting me to check it back and see a river card, so I am going to continue here. I can be ahead here sometimes against hands like King 10 or some sort of heart draw that didn't believe me, that wanted to peel one on the turn, so here just going to continue betting. I bet $100 here. He thinks about it for a little bit and makes the call. As expected, probably going to be calling, but in his weaker part of his range on this board here, so let's go to a river. The river comes the 4 of hearts, and he goes ahead and leads out for $300 here. And looking at my hand, I really can't even turn my hand to a bluff. There's nothing I can do. Kind of pinned into a corner here with ace king high. That's just a really unfortunate spot here. So I'm going to have to fold to the $300 bet. And yeah, we lose another one. Next hand, we have the lovely ace king once again, but in the suited variety. We are in the hijack, and I open things up to $20. We get the blinds to make the call, so we're going 3 ways to the flop in position. Flop comes 6, 6, 7, 2 spades out there, and action checks to me. Here with ace king high, I think I could be good a lot of the time. Also, there's a ton of draws out there, so let's just go ahead and c-bet. I c-bet $35, and only the small blind player makes the call. This is the same active player from 2 hands ago, so let's go to a turn. Turn comes the ace of hearts, and he checks to me. Actually, finally hitting a pair with ace king. It's absolutely crazy, I know. So I go ahead and fire a bet of $100, charge the max for draws when we hit our top pair, and he snap folds, so we finally win a pot of a very small amount. The following hand that we will go over, we have king jack of spades on the big blind. There are 4 limpers to a small blind player who raises things up to $40. He is playing super short. He only has about $240 behind left in this stack. So here, as much as I should and could be 3-betting this, he's just too short to 3-bet. So let's just try to see a good flop and see what happens even if we have to go multi-way to it. So I go ahead and flat, and 2 of the limpers make the call. So we're off to a flop 4 ways. Flop comes ace, queen, 8, 2 spades out there. Pick up the gutter ball, pick up the second nut flush draw. So the small blind actually goes ahead and checks, which is really interesting. Opening up the action to me, I'm definitely going to be betting for sure. I size up to $125, sizing up a little bit bigger with our combo draw. This is definitely a hand. This is definitely a hand where we want to just maximize pressure, put money in there, and try to take it down before getting our flush. So it ends up actually folding all the way back to the small blind player who has a small stack. He rips it all in for $260 total. And obviously, facing this small of a jam, we're going to go with our hand anyway since we bet so big. So I call, and we're off to a run out. The run out comes brick on the turn and brick on the river. Just doesn't even matter. I don't even know what it was. But the small blind shows ace 10 with the ace of spades. So nice hand by him. Definitely never going away. Just unfortunate he was such a short stack. And we had to commit ourselves there on that flop. So the 2-5 experiment has officially gone to a close and a conclusion. Played for 2 hours today. In the game for 900, out of the game for 200 and some change, so 200 bucks. Loss of $700 in 2 hours. So we're down to the 1-3 game, switching it up. It was fun playing 2-5, punting off a lot of money in 2 sessions in a very short time. But we're back to 1-3. Hopefully we can grind up the 1400 that I lost in 2 sessions. Down to 1-3 we go. We have Jack 10 offsuit in the small blind. This is our second hand on this table. There are 4 limpers to the big blind, who is apparently very, very active, and he raises it up to a whole $10. We get 3 players, 3 whole players make the call and actions onto me. I think I can squeeze sometimes, or a large percent of the time actually, and 3 bet to, I don't know, a sizing like $65, $75 out of position. But at the end of the day, let's just take the lower variance route since we're just so short playing 100 bigs. So I make the call and we're off to a flop 5 ways. Flop comes queen 9-3 rainbow, flopping the open ender, and I check. The pre-flop raiser big blind bets $20. An early position player makes the call, and here priced in, definitely going to be calling here all the time. So we're off to a turn. Turn comes the 4 of clubs, bringing in the backdoor flush draw. I check. Pre-flop raiser bets $50. Early position player makes the call, and here with the flush draw, we're just going to call again. I thought about raising sometimes, check raising here in this spot, but a lot of the drawing hands are probably going to have to call as well, so let's just call, try to improve, and see what happens. The river comes the deuce of clubs, so backdoor flush draw gets there, brick out, and we have jack high. Given this action, and given what I've known from this pre-flop raiser, I think I can barrel this player off of a lot of hands and put a lot of one pair hands to the test. So here, I'm actually going to lead out, bluff it out, bet $150. The pre-flop big blind player thinks about it for maybe 5 seconds, tosses in a call, not what we want to see. Early position player thinks and folds. I tell him he's good, I show my hand, and he has king-queen offsuit, so second hand here at 1-3 going pretty well. I didn't think that he would maybe fold king-queen, but at least think about it for a little bit more than 5 seconds there. Next hand to go over at 1-3, we have pocket kings in the small blind. Under the gun player limps. Under the gun +1 raises to $15. We get a middle position player who calls the 15 and actions onto us. Premium hand, going to be 3-betting all the time. I elect a sizing of $55, and we only get 1 caller as the under the gun +1 preflop raiser makes the call. So we're off to a flop out of position. Flop comes 10-4 deuce rainbow. It is the driest board you could ever imagine. So going to be down betting here just to get value from his entire range. I go ahead and bet $40. This down bet works because it induces him to raise us to $140 with about maybe $60, $70 behind. So here, not much of a decision to make. He's so short. He's committed his entire stack already, basically. So we go ahead and jam it all in, covering him about $210 effective. And he thinks about it and has to call, obviously. So let's go to a run out. Let's hope our kings hold up. The turn comes a 7, and the queen comes on the river. And I show my hand. We are good as he mucks. Hand after that, next hand, we have pocket 4s, under the gun +1. Pre-flop action, not too entertaining as there are 5 total limpers, including myself, to the big blind who's very active. This big blind player raises things up to $25. Actions onto me. I'm going to call this 25. Let's try to set mine. His pre-flop range is just just the widest ever. So $25 doesn't necessarily have to have a premium hand raising to this sizing, and I am the only customer. So let's go heads up to a flop in position. Flop comes king 8-3 two spades out there, and he fires a c bet of $25. I, for some reason, just don't believe him in this spot. I also just call to peel one. He's a very good action player. If we can improve to just peeling a set and two outer him, that'd be pretty cool as well to get stacks in. But I don't think he necessarily always has to have a pocket pair or a king like ace king there. A lot of ace jacks, ace queens, ace 10 suited hands, he definitely could be raising here. So let's go to a turn, and I call the $25. The turn comes the 2 of hearts. He checks to me, and that's a pretty good sign, because he just means that he's not at the top of his range, or he's not going to double barrel, or he doesn't have a hand to double barrel on, so a flush draw seems less likely now at this point. So here with a pair, I'm going to check it back, see a free river card. The river comes the 6 of spades, and once again he checks. This seems like a really great spot to bluff on, as it seems very unlikely given the action that he has a spade draw. It seems very unlikely that he has spades in his hand, so let's just go ahead and bluff him off of hands like pocket queens, jacks, tens, any other pair that beats us, or even like a pair of eights. So I go ahead and bet $55, not thinking that a huge sizing would do the trick. He thinks about it and calls pretty quickly, so not great news for us. We show our hand, and he shows ace queen offsuit with no spades. Hero called with nothing, and we get value with pocket fours on this board. Back at it with ace king here. We are in the big blind, and there are 2 limpers to me. Out of position, we're going to raise on the larger side, especially when the active limper is in this. So I raise things up to $23, and only the button, who is the active limper, makes the call. So we're off to a flop, which comes 9-4-5, 2 spades out there. And action goes check on this board. Not really going to be c-betting with ace king high. He can definitely be bluffing with a lot of flush draws and some straight draws as well. So give him that opportunity, but he checks it back. We're off to a turn, which comes the king of clubs, so we do improve the top. It also brings in the backdoor flush draw, so definitely going to be sizing up here when we hit our top pair. I bet $55, and he makes the call. He can be calling with a wide variety of hands, so let's try to see a river and evaluate. We got to think that we're good here a lot of the time. The river comes the jack of clubs, so backdoor flush draw gets there, and I debate between either betting for value or just checking to induce a bluff. Checking really allows him to bluff with a very wide range of hands that he could have. All the missed spades, the 6, 7, even worse pairs that he could turn his bottom pair or his middle pair into a bluff. So I go ahead and think about it for a little bit, and after baiting it over, I just think that ace king here, I can definitely just bet for value and see what happens. So I go ahead and bet $60. He raises us to $200 pretty quickly, and this is just a pretty unfortunate spot to be in. Sitting with top on a board that is fairly connected to a certain degree. A few hands get there, like queen 10, the clubs obviously, king jack gets there as well, hands that we were beating. So it's pretty hard to find a hand that we actually beat that's raising for value. Would he ever be doing this with king queen, king 10? Maybe, but I just don't think that this river raise is ever a bluff here. So got to expect that we're beat a lot of the time. So I go ahead and tank for a little bit, and I end up folding here. He shows us and flashes us queen 6 of clubs. So he did get there with the flush, and our read is right. He is playing a wide variety of hands. Next hand that we're going to go over, we have 6, 7 of clubs, and here middle position player limps. I'm going to raise it up to $17. We get one player in the cutoff that makes the call, and we're going heads up to a flop. Flop comes king jack 8, 2 clubs out there, so it definitely hits my perceived opening range. And we obviously flop a flush draw and a backdoor straight draw. So I go ahead and bet $25, hoping to take it down. And the cutoff raises to $75. Haven't seen this player raise or play too many hands at all. So got to assume that, you know, he probably has a pretty decent hand on this board here. I'm a little bit tilted after a previous hand where I had lost with ace queen versus king 10 all in pre. So here I make a little bit of a tilt call because of that last hand. Probably could be folding a 7 high flush draw, but here I make the call and we're off to a turn. Turn comes the jack of clubs. So the board pairs and we improve to the flush. I check, and he quickly checks it back, which is really interesting and strange. When he checks it back, I think his hand cannot have king jack, or it really cannot have much of a monster hand at all, it seems like. Besides a one pair king X hand like king queen or king 10, afraid of jacks improving to trips, but he can't have a monster hand, I don't think, because this hand is almost gin for any other set kind of hand that he could have. So we go to a river. River comes the 10 of spades. Board is a lot more connected now. We obviously have a flush, so maybe he could have ace queen sometimes. I'm not really sure. So here, first to act out of position, I gotta go for value here, and I go for a sizing of $80. Pretty small bet, and just really trying to get value from one pair hands like king queen, king 10 basically. He tanks for a while, plays with some chips, and ends up raising me to $200. This line makes no sense at all. I was very confused when he made this raise. With a 7 high flush, I'm going to have to make the crying call because he's really not repping a whole lot with that turn check. So really thrown off by the situation, not sure where I'm at, but I'm too strong to fold. So I go ahead and just call. Sometimes you can have a straight or something, but he shows ace 7 of hearts for a 0 equity bluff, 0 equity raise on the flop there as well. So not sure what's going on, but we get a little bit of a donation our way. The last hand that we'll go over in this session, we look down at Jiggity's in middle position, an active middle position player, same player that we've been talking about this 1-3 session, limps it in, and I'm going to raise it up to $17 to try to isolate. Isolation works as everyone folds and he makes the call. Off to a flop, which comes 9-10 deuce rainbow. Here, when he checks to me, over pair to the board. He is very sticky with almost all of his holdings in draws and even pairs. So I bet $35 and he makes the call pretty quickly. Off to a turn, which comes the deuce of spades. It's an amazing card for us as we now beat 9-10. And also, if he had to improve to a spade draw as well, he's never going to be folding. So I go ahead and size up a little bit bigger to $80. He thinks about it and then makes the call once again, so off to a river. River comes a 6, and the only thing that really comes in is 8-7, and when he checks to me once again, it seems very unlikely that he would improve to a straight because, you know, you got a bet out there. I try to go for some value. I size down to $55, try to get 9x hands to call, 10x hands snap calls, obviously, but I bet 55, and he snap folds. We got to stop playing 2-5. Shane, all the way down there, shout out to you, buddy. But we gotta stop playing 2-5. It doesn't work. It's not working for me right now. So I'm done taking shots. 1-3 was okay. Played for about 3.5 hours. We had a really good action-y player at the table. So that was always nice. We were in the 1-3 game for 500. Nope, 700. Yep, I lied out. We were in the 1-3 game for 700 and out of the game for 909. So profit of $209, but we lost $700 at 2-5. So overall, a net of minus 500 or minus 489 or 491 to be exact. Regardless, not great. 2-5, kicking my ass to start the year. But 1-3 has been pretty consistent, I guess. I mean, I just run a lot better at 1-3 and I'm a lot more comfortable with the game. So, anyways, those are the numbers. Not great today, but happy to report it. Today was fun. I mean, I had a decent time playing. Just would have liked to make some money because that's really the goal. But that's gonna wrap up the video and the vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, please. Oh my God, subscribe to the channel because I know 60% of you guys watch the videos and aren't subscribed, so I would really appreciate that. Comment below how badly I played at 2-5 because I think I'm doing something wrong at 2-5. I'm just not sure what it is. It is a mix of running bad and negative variance, but also I'm probably not playing optimally as well. So I would love to hear your thoughts about the 2-5 hands. But besides that, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.